Hello and welcome to the oddschecker preview. This is the Saturday of the Yorkshire Ebor Festival preview podcast and video. I am your host, George ELEK, and I'm joined by two of oddschecker's finest tipsters, the nap of the day man on the app, DARYL Carter, and the old guard, of course, Andy Holding. And you're not too happy about me calling you the old guard?
I feel as though I'm like a Tony Adams or something like that, you know.
Okay. I'll change it.
Shoring up the defence. No, nothing flash. Holding the line, looking across the line, you know.
You're the star of the show. You're who they're all turning up to see.
Cheers, mate.
That's fine. You're the young pretender. I'm digging myself in a hole here. Hole. The less I speak, the better. So I'm going to quickly just point the listeners and viewers in the direction of the oddschecker app, and then I can shut up. Download the app now. It's the very best place for all the best prices, the best bookie offers, the best free bets, and the two best tipsters in the world who join me today, Andy Holding and DARYL Carter. This is the Saturday podcast. We've already recorded one just this morning for Friday's racing. So if you're listening to this on Friday morning or Thursday evening and you haven't seen that yet, then now is the time to go and listen or watch that. You can listen to it in any podcast platform, or you can watch it on the oddschecker YouTube channel. Into the racing though, and this is Saturday, so the first race of the day is the Group 3 Sky Bet and Symphony Group Stencil Stakes, and we are recording this just at about 15:15 midday on Wednesday the 20th. So the final decks are just out. We've got about 48 hours until the racing starts, so the markets are just reforming, so bear with us a little bit if some of these prices are a bit out of date by the time you are listening or watching. The first race, as I say, we have Lord Glitters is the 3-1 favourite ahead of Dark Vision at 11-2, Pogo 6-1, Zabeel Prince 13-2, Miss O'Connor 7-1, Epic Hero 9-1, 10-1 bar 9 run. Andy, coming to you first here. Who do you fancy in the first?
Well, Lord Glitters clearly takes a huge climb down in class here, doesn't he? He's been dining at the top table for the last few years, and he keeps running with great distinction, like he did at Royal Ascot. It was another phenomenal run beyond Mohatha, on the round track that day, and then that run behind Aspetar was just as good. I mean, he just keeps coming back for more. So, I mean, it's a track that he's gone well here in the past. He's got a lot of positive things to say about him, but he's 7 now, and whether he's actually improving or not, I don't know, and he's quite difficult to win with nowadays, albeit he does run well in very good company. So I'm going to go with horses who are perhaps just in a better place at the moment with regards getting their head in front. And Dark Vision definitely ticks a lot of boxes for me. He ties in with a lot of the best handicap form this season, but those top-end handicaps are group races in all but name, aren't they, nowadays? You have to be 100-odd rated horse to win them, as Darryl pointed out with his analysis and a few of the other races we've discussed. And they upped him in quality last time out at Pontefract, and he got the job done that day as well, beating Beringer, who's a very useful horse. He's got form here at York as well. I think he won his maiden back in the day as well here, and he's run well subsequently twice. So he's got track form. He's got a good draw. He likes to come off the pace. I'd see him running well. I do think Certain Lad's slightly overpriced as well at double figure odds. He's been a very industrious horse in the last few months. I think he was out in Dubai, Maidan, wasn't he, in the winter? I think he won a handicap there, but he's done nothing wrong with since he's come over to these shores. He's running the John Smith beyond Sinjari was good. He split 2 very good horses at Haydock last time out, Extra Elusive and that very highly regarded horse of John Gosden's Global Giant. A repeat of that form would certainly give him a chance in this kind of company. So both of them are looking fair enough prices as far as I could see. 9-2, 5-1 for Dark Vision, and double figure 10-1 for Certain Lad. I'd probably almost put those two up against the field there.
Dark Vision 11-2 with William Hill.
11-2, yeah.
11-2 Dark Vision, 10-1 Certain Lad, with all the bookies who are out, who are William Hill, Betfair, and Paddy Power. DARYL, Dark Vision, and a Certain Lad for Andy. Who do you fancy?
Quite like Pogo for this, actually. £5 better off with Dark Vision for their meeting at Ascot last time. Ran in Group 1 company over in Shanti. Not beaten too far, beaten 3 3/4 lengths by Persian King. And he's just rapidly improving this term. He goes well at the track. He was good fourth in the Acom Stakes 2 years ago here. Won a good handicap here last year. And he's just taken his form to a new level this time. I don't think there's too much between him and Dark Vision. And I love the way he did the business at Windsor and getting off the mark, taking care of Urban Icon, who subsequently ran well at Goodwood next time off a massive weight in a handicap. I think that form's pretty strong. The Group 1 he ran in over in France last time. That form has been well advertised by Positive, who ran third behind Regal Reality last time at Salisbury. And that form ties him with Beat Le Bon, who runs in the Group 2 later on in the card. So I think he could be running in better company than he is running in here. And if he's got a little bit more to come back at a track he likes, I think Pogo's a fair each way price at 6-1. I can't really see him out of the frame. I think Andy's touched on the right other horses, Lord Glitters and Dark Vision, but Pogo would be the 6-1 bet for me.
6-1 for Pogo, for Daryl, 11-2 Dark Vision for Andy. So a couple to take on Lord Glitters with there, as well as a certain lad at 10-1. On then to the second race of the day, the 2:25, the Melrose, and it's a handicap at about a mile 6, and we've got Favourite Moon is 4-1 favourite ahead of Kips at 11-2. Midnight Legacy. More prices just come out as I'm speaking. So Favourite Moon 4-1, Kips 7-1 with Bet365. There we go. Daryl, we'll come to you first in a second. Then Midnight's Legacy 8-1, Coltrane 10-1, 11-1 Bar, currently 15 run. And Daryl, fair to say, I think we're going to start with Kips.
Yeah, I like Kips. Like him a lot. I think the step up and trip's definitely going to suit him. I think he's got to be rated much higher than this mark of 88 come the end of the season. He's done absolutely nothing wrong. He travels really well through his races. Just lacks the gears for trips over a slightly shorter. And he's got form that ties in with a favourite back from their meeting at Wolverhampton when they ran over a mile. We finished ahead of him there. And he did better through a subsequent form line through Subjectivist. He was only receiving £11 and finished in front of him at Ascot. And Favourite Moon received 20. And although did it well when we napped him, Favourite Moon against Subjectivist, when last seen at Haydock, I just think Kips is a progressive horse going forward. This is a really good race, though. Lots of these you can make cases for. In terms of form lines, though, Kips is almost up there with, like we mentioned earlier in the earlier podcast, with those top levels of handicap form. He's got collateral form lines that link in everywhere. So I think it's only a matter of time before he wins off this mark of 88. Ryan Moore's been booked by Hughie Morrison. I think he's a good bet at 7-1. Right.
7-1 for Kips there. Darryl makes a strong case for Andy.
Yeah, Kips has been a bit of a wallet emptier, hasn't he, for quite a lot of punters this season. He's got a lot of quality about him. The day when he ran at Haydock first time up, you thought, well, this is a handicap winner in waiting, the way he travelled through that race. His subsequent run behind Hookham looks better now, doesn't it, in the cold light of day. He just looks a bit awkward in the run, and that tried the blinkers on him last time out, just perhaps to sharpen his mind, and ended up backfiring on him, albeit he didn't run too badly over a shorter trip at Newmarket. Whether he quite has the stamina to see out a well-run mile 6 would be open to question, because I do think he's got a little bit of a glass chin. I think he's a kind of horse that you just need to arrive there with and kind of like cajole to the front. And whether let's say he gets there 2 or 3 out at York, or comes out a long, long way home for a horse like Kips, who, like I say, previously has ducked the issue. I certainly wouldn't mind backing him each way if he can get 5 places, because I do think he'll go well for you for a long way. But I'm not sure whether he's as hearty enough as you need for a horse to win this race. I think there's
Sorry, Andy. He reminds me of that horse Coggree from last season. Is it Coggree from last season, doesn't he?
Yeah. Just the same.
Threatens to win, and might eventually win later on in the season. Very similar type of horse.
Oh yeah, he'll definitely win a good race somewhere along the way. There's a good pot in him. There's no doubt about it, because a horse who goes through the races like he does, everything has to drop right one day. But like I said, mile 6 round here, it's a brutal test for a 3-year-old, and I'm not totally convinced by him yet. And I don't think the stable are, the fact that they put blinkers on him last time out. I think William Haggas has got 2 potentially very well handicapped horses here, but the one more than the other stands out, and that's Favourite Moon. The day when he beat Subjectivist, I literally couldn't believe. I thought Subjectivist was a good thing that day. Subjectivist had gone there into that race off the back of a very fast time, and Favourite Moon just basically outstayed him. But he outstayed him A, in a very good time, but B, more importantly, split times. There was about 4 or 5 races on the round track that day against Deja, who won the old Newton Cup, Manuela de Vega. So there was some good, solid guidelines. And this favourite Moon ran the quickest from 6 out, from the 6 furlong pole in the back straight, and from 3 out as well. The 2 sectional points where I do them from, he was better than group race horses. And he only raced off a mark of 8. I thought, God, this must be some well-handicapped horse, this. He's only got up 7. And just to put the icing on the cake, they've got Kieran Fallon booked as well, who rode him last day. So he actually races here off a mark of 84. If this horse is not running off a mark of 100 next year, I will be amazed. So he's got plenty in hand, this horse. The bookmakers have priced him up like he's got plenty in hand as well. I'm not telling you something that we're tipping here at 10 or 12 to 1 and we've got like the bet of all time. And of course, he's got to prove that he handles York, something that he hasn't done before. So he's got a few questions to ask in that respect, but there's no doubt in my mind that he is the best handicapped horse in this race, bar none. So if he handles the track, the plain answer is I think he'll win because I just think he's the classiest horse in the field.
So, I mean, a 15-runner affair, and certain question marks about there'll be a few of these who are running off much higher marks this time next year. At 4 to 1, do you see that as being prohibitively short, despite the fact you fancy him, or is that still a fair price to have a crack at?
I think it's one of those ones where I'll probably put him up win only, because if he doesn't handle the track, then he either will win the way I think he will win because he's well handicapped and he does handle the track. But if he doesn't, he could easily blow out. But he's won for another day, so I'd probably put him up to win. And if I was looking for something each way as a cover, I'd probably suggest something like Coltrane, who I think is a nice horse also in the making. He's looked a thorough stayer. He looks uncomplicated. He settles in his races and he finishes his races off strongly. His Chepstow win was good on the numbers. His Newmarket win suggested he's got plenty in hand. And again, I think he's got away with a very lenient mark. He's been running times very much better than what he's handicapped at the moment of 86. So they're down the foot of the weights, but I think in a year's time, if these all met again, they'd be up the top rather than where they are at the moment.
There we have it then. So favourite Moon 4 to 1 for Andy, Kipps at 7 to 1 for Daryl. Onto the 3 o'clock, the City of York Stakes, Group 2, over 7 furlongs and 1 master, is the 2 to 1 favourite as it stands, ahead of Safe Voyage, who's 9 to 2 with 10 bet, as short as 3 to 1 with Betfair and Paddy Power. San Donato 5 to 1, 10 to 1 bar, looking at the likes of Threat and Escobar, Shine So Bright, beat Le Bon. 9 run as it stands. Andy, coming to you first here. I think you put up 1 master for his, or at least on the podcast, you gave 1 master a favourable word before his win last time out. Do we go again?
Well, she just about got away with the ground, didn't she, last time out at Goodwood? I think Connections, they were interviewed afterwards. Tom Marcon said the one thing, she hated the ground. That was his words. But she was so classy enough in a Group 3 to get away with it. Now, whether she's good enough to get away with it again on what's likely to be fast ground again come Saturday, I think if she ran today, she'd probably win. But there'll be no good to soften the ground come Saturday looking at the forecast. So that's a little bit of a worry. Whereas Safe Voyage, I don't think he'll mind the ground either way, whichever way it turns up. Yes, he's got form and soft heavy ground, but he's handled good ground numerous times. But out of the two, I think he's arguably got the better body of work over 7 furlongs over a long period of time. He ties in with Space Blues. Now, Space Blues for me is the best 7 furlong horse in Europe. He's proven that time and time again. Every time he runs, he seems to beat the same kind of horses. And that race at Goodwood collectively was the best 7 furlong race run so far this season. The Lennox, Duke of Hazard, great track horse, Escobar, Safe Voyage, Sedan Salot, Dubai. You name it, they were all there at that gig. They all turned up, and this lad finished a creditable 4th with not the clearest of runs. Things just didn't quite go well for him, but it's hard to see Safe Voyage not being in the first 3, given his qualities, over his favourite trip. So at the prices we're looking at the moment, with 1 master, the ground dry now, I wouldn't want to touch her at 7 to 4, but at 9 to 2, if you could get that now, as this podcast goes out, perhaps in another few hours, I think you'll be well ahead of the game with him each way, rather than taking a short price about 1 master.
Safe Voyage 9 to 2 with 10 bet and Sport Nation, 4 to 1 with Hills and Bet 365. Daryl, are you seeing this the same as Andy?
100% agree with everything Andy's just said. I think Safe Voyage is certainly the bet here. Thought 1 master. I mean, I put her up last time as well when she just got out of trouble at Goodwood. I thought I put her up. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, she's got excuses because this is not her ground." But I thought she got away with the ground at that level. Stepping up in grade now, I don't think she's going to get away with it. Safe Voyage is, for me, is by far clear second best of the 7 furlong horses around. Safe Voyage, Space Blues sets the standard very high. Safe Voyage would have been a lot closer to him at Goodwood. Would have been granted a clear run. And if he would have finished second that day instead of finishing fourth, I don't think he'd be 4-1 in there. I think he'd probably go off, be favourite. I think this is a fantastic opportunity for Safe Voyage. There's no real dangers for me in this race to Safe Voyage.
Lovely. Safe Voyage is the selection for both the experts, and that 9-2 may not stick around, but snap it up if you can. On to the 340, which is the Ebor. Which is the Ebor. Currently 24 in the field at the moment. Hills, 888, Betfair and Paddy's all go 5 places. But I think, tomorrow we'll see plenty of decent each-way terms as well. And the current favourite, as it stands, is Fujairah Prince at 7-1, ahead of Trushan and Pablo Escobar, both at 8-1. True Self, 11-1. Deja, 12-1. Monica Sheriff, 14-1. Vidana Blue, 14-1. 16-1 Pondus, 18-1 Bar. Andy, as the main man, as I said at the beginning of the podcast, the Tony Adams stalwart of the oddschecker stable. It's only fair that I come to you first for the Ebor. And at this stage, I mean, is it a long list? Is it a short list? Is it just one? What are you looking at?
Yeah, it's a short list. Short list of 2. There's no doubt that I'll be putting these 2 up on the day. Depends on what price they are, of course, and to how I stake the plan. But Pablo Escobar and Trushan are the 2 that I'll be concentrating on here. We know that Trushan's been laid out for this race for the thick end of probably might even been over a year, but certainly for the last 6 months, ever since he won that amazing handicap at Newmarket. That is the best mile and a half 3-year-old race probably run in the last 12 months or even the last 3 or 4 years. That was as good as you're going to get. They went a mother and father of a gallop that day. There was no hiding place. But you look at the horses that he beat that day. First in Line, Rhythmic Intent, The Trader, Dreamweaver, Country, Cape Cavalli, all the way to Sinjari was 13th. All these horses out of that race have come on to prove themselves in better company, in good handicaps, time and time again, not just once, but twice and 3 times over. And he beat them bloodless that day. I mean, he stayed on very strongly. He beat Hamish next time out on really bad ground when Hamish had gone there carrying all before him, having won the Melrose, and everyone thought he was a good thing. He needed the run more than any Alan King horse would ever need a run first time on at Newmarket. You could see that. He was very fresh. He was very well. He was almost too well. And he ended up just fading behind Dashing Willoughby. But again, that form's very strong. First in Line ran in it. Dashing Willoughby's won a group race since. So he was beating no mugs. And then he went to Haydock next time out. Back on slightly easier ground. He beat Alignac, Mountain Hunter, Ypsilanti, Elmis. Again, we're talking very, very high-class horses here. He beat them through stamina. He wants a mile 6. You look at it, or his run style wants it. He wants a galloping track, a mile 6. He's been kept especially for this race. He's been trained for the minute for this race by Alan King. Luckily for him, he hasn't got his old adversary Hamish in there because he was going to be a big player from the Haggis stable. But Haggis has got a more than able substitute in the shape of Pablo Escobar. They finally worked out how to ride. They tried to blast him from the front over a mile and a quarter at Newbury 2 runs ago, which didn't work out. Almost did, but didn't. But they dropped him in the other day over a mile and a half at Goodwood, and he came through and he beat a good field going away. He also wants a trip. So those are my 2 against the field. What price are we looking at?
8-1.
There you go. Two really solid each-way bets there. Trushan and Pablo Escobar. I don't think you go too far wrong with those if you can shop around and get 4 or 5 places on the day.
Lovely stuff. 8-1. Certainly you'll be getting 4 or 5. I have a feeling, as I said, maybe tomorrow. We saw Paddy's go 6 for the opener yesterday. Maybe they'll repeat the favour. DARYL, Trushan and Pablo Escobar have had their good write-up. Where are you going to go?
Yeah, they have. I'm not entirely convinced Pablo Escobar will stay this trip. That'd be my only concern with him. Fujairah Prince. Fujairah Prince is the rightful favourite in my opinion. A very lightly raced 6-year-old. Looks like a potential group horse in the race. His form from last year with the likes of First 11 and Baghdad. That handicap form is just littered with 110 rated horses. It goes well here at York. I think there's just a lot to like about him. Very lightly raced. This has been the target from the moment that they from the moment that he crossed the finishing line at Ascot last time. Loved the way he put that to bed. Really strong through the line. This course and track and big field scenario should really suit him. There's a lot to like about the favourite here. There's another one in here, massive price. I might take a chance on. He's about, Glenclan Glory, George. What price is that?
You're getting 33-1 from your friends at Sky Bet.
Okay, I mean, this might be a little bit of a stretch, but he ran well after 2 years.
Fine.
He ran well after 2 years off. He's beaten 5 lengths in the listed race at Doncaster behind Red Verdon. Just faded inside the final furlong there. And Red Verdon went out and won the Prix Maurice Denel in France next time out. He then ran a Northumberland Plate. He travelled really nicely through the race, held up right out the back of the field. I think that was a bit of a muddling race, a bit messy. Didn't go too hard up in front, so I don't think it suited him. But he stumbled coming around the home turn. But he carried on. He was travelling lovely, and then they didn't want too hard on him, just nudged him out hand and heels. This horse was rated 110 last year for John Gosden. He's down to 99. Now, he ran off 100 at Haydock on soft ground. That was his first attempt on soft ground. He did really well in the circumstances, finished 6 for 16, wasn't given a hard time again, and it just felt like they were building up to a performance with him. And then at Ripon, he looked all at sea on the undulations there. I know it sounds like a lot of excuses for him, but he was all at sea. But he finished really, really strongly when denied a closing run in the last 100 yards. He was unlucky not to win there. He finished 5th, but he was beaten a length. I think this has probably been the plan for Timmy Easterby since he picked him up with John Gosden. And he's off a mark of 99. And given he was rated 110 just last year, I mean, he's got some really nice form over these sort of staying trips with the likes of Magic Circle and Palisator. He's a big, big price. He's the right age for this sort of contest. Big field's going to suit him. If you want to take a chance at one at a price, Glenclan Glory might be that one.
Absolutely love it. I'm very happy to hear a 33-1 tip. They say there's no such thing as a bad idea, and at 33-1, there is no such thing as a bad tip. I can tell you that for free. Andy, anything to add on the big price Glencadam Glory?
Anything that ran well in the Northumberland Plate gets my thumbs up. It was a quality race this year. It's a shame that the winner is not even high enough rated to get in at Caravan of Hope. I still think he's rated sort of 95, 96, and he's definitely better than that. But unfortunately, the handicap hasn't given him a chance. One at a big price again. I won't want to bore you because I think we've covered the main protagonists. Jeremiah was a bit unlucky last time at Ascot. He'd won well the time before, and they fancied him again the next day. But he got stuck in a pocket when everything went by him, and he just couldn't get out, and he was eased down. I think he's better than that. Charlie Fellows are quite a dab hand with these stayers, isn't he? Prince of Arran, I think, has been flying the flag for that yard for a little while now. But look, the 3 classy horses that are rated in over 105 we've touched upon, Pablo Escobar, Fajura, Prince Trushan, they've all had this race as a target for a long, long time, and hopefully we've got it covered between one of those 3.
Jeremiah 25-1 with Betfair and Paddy Power. We'll move on then to the last 3 races of the day. We've got the listed Julia Graves Roses Stakes over 5 furlongs after the Ebor, and Ben McDwee is the 9-4 favourite ahead of Politics at 4-1. Lauded is 5-1. Acclam Express is 7-1, 11-1 bar. A race maybe up your street, Andy, here for the time figures. Who's set the best fractionals? Is Ben McDwee the rightful favourite?
He's on ratings and form. Again, the race with these tails that's been priced on ratings, but I tend not to look at that. I just look at their time figures and what they're like as a horse and individual, and what the numbers are by their name. That run at Goodwood behind Steel Ball was a perfectly respectable one. He ran a lot better than the market suggested. Steel Ball, I tip, was a worthy winner and a quite rightful winner. But again, whether that was a strong Group 3, I don't know. Steel Ball's got beats up. He's a player, but whether he's a 2-1 shot, I don't know. I do know for certain that Andrew Balding's Politics has been targeted for this race, specifically on the recommendation of Oisin Murphy. I think Oisin Murphy had something to do with either buying this horse or having something to do with the breeding side of it. So I think he's invested in the horse in some way, so I've been told. And Timescale, who was due to run in this race for the same colours, is a defector in preference for this one. So I'd imagine Politics will end up being favourite in this race. But whether they're good enough both to cope with what I think is still a very I don't know. Again, the rating for this horse is just nowhere near the level that he's going to achieve. And it's Acclam Express, Nigel Tinkler's Speedball. The day when he won at Hamilton, he knocked the ball out of the park on the figures. The lads that have bought this horse, I think they've got a good bargain here. They paid 70 grand for this fella, and they got an instant return for their money when he won at Goodwood. He floored an odds-on favourite that day, who was all the rage, Winter Power. But on the numbers, Acclam Express certainly had his measure, and I couldn't believe he was the price he was in the morning. And again, he's been priced up on what he's rated. I mean, he was only 77 going into that race, but he looked a handicap good thing and Julia Blige. And he's been given out 92, which again is nowhere near the level that I think he'll end up being. And that's why we're going to get 7-1 for him on Saturday, when he should be a good deal shorter in the betting. He's got a push button turn of foot, this fella. You watch him in his races and the way he changes his legs when the jockey went for him last time out at Goodwood, he just dropped his shoulder and away he went. And he did everything on the outside on the wing that day, and he had no cover. He was very fresh early on. But this is tailor made for him. He's got the favourite, Ben Makudo, one of the favourites, right in front of him in stall one. It's a simple exercise here for Tom Marcon, just having almost like a piece of work. He'll just carry him down to the furlong pole and then ask him to quicken. Lordid runs in the gym crack. He won't run, so he's out the way. And at the moment, we can get 7-1 with our generous friends Paddy Power, who clearly haven't been listening to my podcast, so I haven't had a chance to revise their prices. But I'd make this horse a very, very solid 3-1, 7-2 shot at best. So if you can get that 7-1 now, even with a Royal 4, because Lordy won't run, you're going to be well ahead of the game, and the rest don't count. They're not good enough.
There you go. Strong one for Andy. 7-1 Acclam Express. A winner on this podcast over the glorious Goodwood week, and hopefully a winner here for us on Saturday at York. DARYL, hard act to follow that, but I'll give you a chance.
I mean, the only two horses that I really had anything to say about were Politics and Acclam Express.
There you go. Move on.
Let's move on.
Let's move on. You've always said, DARYL, that those, it's why we have the good yin and yang with you and Andy, where Andy's all about the time figures, the speed, and the 2-year-olds, whereas you are our handicap specialist. And luckily, we've got one lovely one here to preview now, the 440 at York, the penultimate race of the week at York. And only William Hill have prices out at the moment, so these are subject very much to change. But Sinjari is the 4-1 favourite ahead of May Danny, a horse that you've tipped up with us before here, DARYL, at 5-1. Cape Cavalli 6-1, Derevo 15-2, fifth position 8-1, Sky Defender 9-1, 14-1 bar. DARYL, the floor is yours.
Wow, I mean, Sinjari for me is very much a horse that I was really looking forward to reappearing this season. I tipped him up last time when he won, and that was just impressive. I mean, like we mentioned earlier, certain lad running in the Group 3 race earlier in the day, and he just strongly pulled clear. I was just so taken by that performance. I mean, I knew he was well handicapped. I didn't think he was, that well handicapped, but he's gone up £8 for that, and I think even that's quite lenient, to be honest. That's one of the strongest handicaps of the season, the John Smith's Gold Cup to win. So it would be surprising if he wasn't able to follow up off this mark of 103. It really looks like an impressive. It's just grown from last year so much visually, and I think he's going to come on a ton for the run. Sinjari, I really, really like him. Really like him for this. I know it's not a strong case because I'm getting my words muddled up, but just the form lines from last season with the likes of Forrester Dean and Hedman, they're just all lined up beautifully. And I was just so impressed with what he done under Stevie Donahue at over course and distance last time out. Tom Marcon takes a ride. I think he's going to step forward again.
Great stuff there. Sinjari 4-1, the selection for DARYL. Andy, what have you got to add?
I'd be surprised if either Mandani or Sinjari don't win this. They've won the best 2 mile and a quarter handicaps run so far in the UK, and they won it decisively as well. Sinjari, as DARYL pointed out, was a very decisive winner when he won the John Smiths. Came through late on, showed a really good, good turn of foot in the latter stages, and he's going to improve off of that run as well. And he wasn't particularly well fancied that day, looking at the market. So he's well drawn. It's still 6. He should get a lovely run round, but he is up against Mandani, who clocked one of the best furlong per furlong times from a handicap perspective of the entire Goodwood Festival when he won that day, and he did it from the front, and he just kept lengthening away from a good field. He won by five lengths in the end, which is quite staggering, really, given the horses that were behind him that day. The likes of Bell Rock, Sky Defender, DARYL, Tin and Darley, fifth position. These are horses who have been dining at the very top table, and he absolutely battered them. He's got York form as well, so it's not as if like Sinjari got an advantage over Mandani, because Mandani, has won here before, and also Mandani's got the favourable draw right round the inside. He still wants. So you'd imagine it'd be quite an easy exercise for Jim Crowley. He'll just get this horse out in front and just try and stretch down the nose mile with Sinjari breathing down his neck. So they've beaten all the horses in this race again. Yeah. I'm not worried about the pounds and ounces, here, there, and everywhere. Some of them might well be better off, but such was their dominance in their races, I think they're still capable of winning again. You could almost back them both here. What you can get 4-1, 1, 5-1 the other. You might even get slightly bigger once the sort of odds settle down. So rather than pick one over the other, I'd just say back both of them to win, and hopefully you'll be on the winner.
Sinjari 4-1, Maydani 5-1. Very simple message there from the lads. Certainly Daryl going for one, but Andy saying it is a match between the top two and just back them both. The last race then of the York Ebor Festival is the Apprentice Handicap over 5 furlongs, and Miras is the 4-1 favourite. Again, only hills with prices as it stands. Wonderwork 9-2 alongside Live in the Moment. Sampers 7-11-2. Electric Ladyland and Queen's Order both 7-1. Daryl, will come to you first here so that Andy can sing us out. What is the selection here, if any?
Miras.
I know what he's going to tip. Yeah, Miras.
Yeah, I took a bit of anti-post 4-1 about him for this race with our friends over at Sky Bet. I've always just thought that this horse was just needed a drop back to 5 furlongs. He's been competing in the top level handicaps throughout this year. He's just been caught last time at Goodwood in the Stewards Cup, just in the final 100 yards. He's a very, very quick horse. I think he's been running over the wrong trip. 5 furlongs. It's a point and shoot job. I don't think there's any need to get complicated with him. For Oliver Stammers, who's going to take off £5 off his back, I think it's pretty straightforward, to be honest with you. I don't think anything else is quite of the level that Miras could be at.
There you go, Miras 4-1 for Daryl. Andy, was you predicting Daryl's going to say Miras mean that you share his views?
Yeah, he's always a horse I've liked. He clocked a good number the day when he finished when he won at Kempton, and I won't say I've been with him since, but I've certainly monitored his progress. Daryl could well be right. 5 furlongs might end up being his bag. He shows lots of natural speed throughout his races. The only doubt I have is whether he can translate what he's done up to now to York, and he is drawn 11 of 11, and we don't know whether that stall might end up being a good place, bad place come Saturday. They might come at stand side. If they come at the stand side and they've churned up the far side in the middle, and everyone wants to get on a golden high, which sometimes does happen at York, still 11-11 is going to be tremendous. So keep your eye on that. If you can see a shift in track bias, then the 4-1 will be gobbled up and it'll be sort of 2-1 on the off. Whereas, if they're still going down the middle, it's not going to be easy for Oliver Stammers to sort of get in and perhaps get where the better ground is. If he's in the wrong place of the track, maybe Sampers 7 is an alternative. I was really taken by the way Michael Appleby's filly dug down deep for pressure when she was converged upon here last time out by several well-fancied horses having a right nibble at, but she pulled away again, and her time figure was very good. She's also proven on the Nave Mile, which is something that Maras hasn't proven up to now. So that might have something to say about it in the final analysis. But at this very moment in time, I've got so many strong opinions on Friday and Saturday. This one's right down the food chain with regards to having a bet. So I'll let Daryl sign off with his best bet on the card with Miras.
Miras 4-1. He can't put words in his mouth. That's my job, Andy. Firstly, Daryl, what is your best bet of the day? What's the nap?
Miras in the 5-10 at York.
There we go. And Andy?
Acclam Express in the Rosy Stakes. That 7-1 is right up there with Al Ali as a each way bet to nothing.
Lovely stuff. Thank you both very much, guys. Thank you both to Andy and to Daryl. You can get all of their tips first and foremost delivered to you on the oddschecker app. So please do download that now. The very best place for all the best prices, bookie offers and free bets and tipsters across sports as well. I've been your host, George ELEK, and fingers crossed we've given you some expert advice, not from me, but from the lads for the week at York. And we look forward to speaking to you again soon. Please do gamble responsibly.